This is the Polestar 3 and it's finally time for me to do a range, consumption, cabin noise and charging test. Welcome to It's Only Electric. Let's start.
It's only electric.
Before I start with the tests, let me walk through some of the important specifications. This is the long-range all-wheel drive version and it's a heavy beast. It weighs 2,650 kilograms as a curb weight. It measures 4.9 meters with a wheelbase of 3 meters. And behind those wheels, the big battery pack has a gross capacity of 111 kilowatt hours and a net capacity of 107. It's a NMC pack. The total range spans up to 631 kilometers. This one though has the bigger wheels, so 21-inch rims instead of 20, so it shrinks down to 586 kilometers of certified range. So when it comes to charging, the charge port is placed here at the left rear fender, exactly as the Teslas, and there's a purpose for that. It's a manual charge port, DC charging with a top speed of 250 kilowatts. Yes, 250, not 200, because as you probably already know, the CCS2 standard only goes up to 200 kilowatts for a 400 volt system. So those extra 50 kilowatts can only be cranked out on a Tesla supercharger. And if you plug it into a Tesla supercharger, the charge time, 10 to 80%, takes 30 minutes. If you don't find any Tesla supercharger, it will probably take around 35. And this is exactly what we are going to test in this video. When it comes to home charging, it supports 3 phases and 11 kilowatts. So as this label states, the total combined output is 360 kilowatts, 489 horsepower, or 840 newton meters of torque. So it has 2 permanent magnet motors evenly distributing the power. So 180 kilowatts at the front, 180 at the back, 0 to 100 in 5 seconds flat, 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4.8 seconds. The top speed is 210 kilometers per hour. The 21-inch wheels, as I said, is extra. It's a staggered setup, so 265, 45 at the front, to 95, 40 at the rear. In this case, Michelin Pilot sport tires. And I think that's all the important facts, and it's time to take this car for a range and consumption test. This is the first stretch of the range and consumption test. The test as such is a test track of 80 kilometers with an average speed of 92 kilometers per hour, so it's spanning from 50 all the way up to 110 kilometers per hour. I stick to a certain set of rules. Rule number 1, always stick to the speed limits. Rule number 2, set the AC to auto and 20 degrees. So it's on auto, eco mode is active, 20 degrees. The rear seat is off since there's no one sitting at the rear. And the final rule is the drive mode. So always activate eco mode if possible, if available as a drive mode. And here it's called range, so range mode is active. You can actually toggle between range and performance. Suspension is set to standard. Regen is at 1 pedal driving standard. To check the consumption, there is an application in the app drawer called Range and Trips. And this is a really nice application with a lot of information. The one I'm using now is the current trip. And as you see, we have traveled 22 kilometers with an average consumption of 21.2 kilowatt hours. Let me show you how you deactivate the speed control or speed warning limit. That's the one that beeps now or knocks. It's fairly settled, but still kind of disturbing. You find a shortcut for deactivating that here on the lower icon bar. And the icon bar, by the way, is situation aware. So when you put it into drive, it shows a bit of a different setup than when set to park. So for instance, when in park, you see how to open the glove box. When in drive, it puts up the speed limit, chime deactivation, but also the toggling for the different drive modes. So let me just drive a bit quicker than the speed limit to make it start beeping. Yeah, that's the sound. It's settled. So I press this and it deactivates. So that's a one press. Very easy. And I love when they do like situation-based awareness of the screen. And that means that it shows you what's necessary here and now, depending on my situation. So this is a very clever way of using software, at least, or especially when you have almost everything at a single screen. Let's check the average consumption. We have passed the halfway. It says that the average consumption is 19.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Oh, needed to take over. And that was the self-driving or driver assist function. It can't handle too sharp corners. That's for sure. So I needed to take over. It didn't beep, it didn't do anything. It just couldn't keep the car within the lane. So if you don't have your eyes on the road, that may be very dangerous. And of course, that's the recommendation, to always have your eyes on the road. But it is a bit unprecise when it comes to sharp corners. It should warn me and say like take over or something. Now it gave me a beep, not sure why. Oh yes, again. Okay, so I'll probably drive manually here. So the lane keep assist, the ADAS system seems to be able to handle highways very good. It's very stable, keeps you in the middle of the lane, switches lanes for you if you want that, but it can't handle small and twisty roads, even if it's possible to activate that function. You activate the active lane assist by single tapping the right lever. Now it's active. The side of the lanes turns green. It's going a bit too slow, so I'm gonna switch the lane now. So I'm actually signaling to the left, and as you see here on the screen, it's showing me the illustration and it's changing the lane for me as long as I keep holding of the steering wheel. To increase the speed limit, you use the left controls on the steering wheel. So if you push upwards, it raises the speed. If you push downwards, it lowers the speed. So let's go back to the right lane again. See if that works a second time. I think I was a bit too quick now. So that was a manual change. And even if I change manually by mistake, it still reactivates the active lane keep assist when I'm aligned in the new lane. So that's very convenient, and it's keeping me very stable in the middle of the lane. I like the illustrations, the graphics is very simple, uncomplicated, and it works really nice on the highway. The head-up display though doesn't show me that much of information. Feels like it's a bit Spartan. I mean, very scaled off. The only thing it shows is the current speed and the current speed limit. That's all. It's time to summarize the range and consumption test. So the average consumption for this 80 kilometers long trip with the average speed of 93 kilometers per hour ended up at 20 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers flat. That equals to a total range for the full battery of 535 kilometers. And if you compare that to the stated WLTP range of 587 kilometers, that's actually 91%. Not bad at all. I mean, I consider all cars delivering over 90% on this test track as good. I mean, that's close enough to the actual range. And this was at dry roads, sunny weather, and 9 degrees Celsius outside. So fairly good road conditions, and the summer tires are on. So the other test, the 120 kilometers per hour test, ended up at 24.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. That's actually 440 kilometers if you keep a straight line in that speed. That can also be considered good. I mean, this car has a really big battery pack, I still think the efficiency is there. I mean, it's good for being such a big and heavy car with all-wheel drive, almost 500 horsepower, and all that weight. I mean, 2.6 tons. So still 440 kilometers in 14 degrees Celsius, so a bit warmer. Close to optimal driving conditions, I would say. So that's what you can expect on highway driving. It's Only Electric is a totally independent channel on YouTube. So to help us stay independent, please subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and engage in the comment section. If you want to support us even more, you can become a member of the channel. And as a member, you get access to videos before everyone else, priority replies on your questions in the comment sections, but also access to all our test data. So that's all our range tests, the cabin noise measurements, acceleration tests, etc. Everything collected in the members section. Thank you for helping us staying independent. To the next test, and that's the cabin noise test. And we always try to compare it with other cars in the same segment. And what we do is that we drive the same stretch of roads in 50, 70, 90 and 110 kilometers per hour. And this is the final result. To be able to be as consistent as possible, we always place the microphone and measure the noise at headrest level of the passenger side. And compared to other cars, just to give you a kind of a perspective, this is among the noisier ones. Partly probably due to the wide tire setup. I mean, 295s at the rear and 265s at the front. That's a lot of rubber making up a bit of road noise. Most of the noise though seems to come from the A-pillar and the side view mirrors. There is a bit of a wind noise coming from that side, both sides actually. So that probably adds to the cabin noise. It has double pane windows, both here in the front and at the rear, so that compensates a bit from the outside noise. But compared to other cars, it's a bit more silent than the Zeekr 001 on 22-inch wheels, so 1 decibel in the difference. It's a bit more noisy than the Neo EL6 and a lot more noisy than the EL7 and the G9. I mean, the G9 is by far, I think, the best SUV ever tested when it comes to cabin noise. The Mercedes EQE SUV is also more silent than this one. So, I mean, depending on what you like, this is a more sporty car compared to the other cars I just mentioned. But that also comes with a bit of a more road noise. And to the last test, and that's the charging. Took the car to a Tesla supercharger, charged it from 10 to 80%. The outside conditions was 14, 15 degrees Celsius, so fairly good charging conditions. I actually achieved a top speed of 252 kilowatts. And that's really just slightly above the specified 250 kilowatts from Polestar. And why did I take it to a Tesla supercharger? I mean, the obvious main reason for that is that the normal CCS2 standard supports 400 volt, 500 amps. That equals to 200 kilowatts. And as this car tops at 250, I wanted to find a charger that could deliver more amps. And the Tesla V3 chargers and V4 chargers can do that, since the Teslas also charge at a higher pace than the regular CCS2 standard. And that actually paid back as a good charging result, because the total charge time, 10 to 80%, took 30 minutes and 38 seconds. And that's actually exactly on time. I mean, Polestar state 30 minutes flat. So that's really on par with what they promise. If you go for a regular CCS2 charger, 400 volt, it delivers 200 kilowatts. And that means that the first part, 10 to 30%, will take a bit slower, because you will only top out at 200, 205 kilowatts instead of 250, 252. And that means that you will probably spend 3-4 minutes more at the charging station than if you go for a Tesla supercharger. So the difference is probably not that super big, because the charge curve is anyway fairly flat, and it's a good charge curve for such a big battery pack. I mean, 30 minutes is a good charge time. 35 minutes is also a okay charge time if you go for a slower charger. What I missed though is the preheating. I mean, there is no possibility to manually preheat the battery pack or preconditioning the battery pack before a quick charging session. The only way to do that is to navigate to a quick charger with Google Maps. But there is no sign or notification regarding the activation of the preconditioning. So it doesn't say that it preconditions the battery pack. So hopefully it does. In this case, it turned out to work good anyway, probably due to good outside temperatures and due to that I drove the car fairly far to reach that charging station. I would have wished that Polestar really added a bit of more features, especially the manual preconditioning feature in the menu system. Let me try to summarize my experience with the Polestar 3. I mean, this is really an amazing car to drive, and it's a looker, both inside and out. It's a really good looking car and looks different compared to the other cars on the market. It has different design language that I really like. As an addition to that, the efficiency is really good for being such a big and heavy car. I mean, 2.6 tons curb weight, and that big battery pack of 111 kilowatts gross capacity. But the car still is efficient for being that heavy and having such a lot of horsepower, but also it's really fun to drive. I mean, it's really engaging, and the suspension and the balance of the car is really great and engaging. It's fun, it's always powerful, it doesn't feel sloppy, it's really tight on the road, it's so stable and settled, and you can really push the car and still feel safe. It handles really good. It handles a lot better than many smaller and sportier cars. I'm really impressed by the driving dynamics of the car. But some of the downsides though is, I mean, the charging is good, but I would have wished for a 800 volt system because I think that's more future proof. Even if this one has a good charge curve and a good charge time, you will still maximize the charging potential of this car on a regular 400 volt system. So you're more or less bound to Tesla superchargers, I mean, which is good. It's a big charging network. But for this price class, I think 800 volt would have made sense. Another downside is the software. I mean, I love the design language, the orange contrast, the black look of the graphics. And I also like that they're using Android Automotive because I think that's a good way to go. I've said that for Renault too. The thing is that Renault's system works better than this one does. It's still buggy and it's still lacking a lot of features and functions. It's scaled off, let me say it that way. You don't have that many options. Some things doesn't work. I've had some issues, software related issues. So it's not really finished yet, but they keep pushing over-the-air updates to make it better, to make the experience feel better for you as a owner. So I think it's just a matter of time. But currently, I'm still missing features, and I still think it's a bit too buggy. One example of missing features is the steering wheel. I mean, the steering wheel controls is so limited. You can, for instance, not adjust the distance to the cars in front of you when using the self-driving capabilities. You can only adjust the speed limit, and when you adjust the speed limit, as soon as you pass 100 kilometers per hour, it always jumps in fives. And that makes it a bit too chunky, because sometimes I want to set the car to 102 kilometers per hour. Don't ask me why, I just want to do that. If you want to drive in 102 kilometers per hour, you can't adjust that with the steering wheel. You need to drive the car up to that speed and then activate the self-driving or the lane keep assist, and then it keeps that speed. So as soon as you start fiddling with the steering wheel adjustments, you will jump down to 100 or 105. Not a biggie, but still an example of like, I need more features. And another thing that's probably more important is the media controls. You can't adjust the volume, you can't skip the song from the steering wheel. So all media controls is still here at one button, and that's the turner device here at the midsection where you can skip songs, play and pause, and raise and lower the volume. That one works good, but I would have wished that the function was available here on the steering wheel. Hopefully, and probably, that's something that's going to be OTA updated later on. Let's hope so. So what's your view on the Polestar 3? Is this your favorite pick in this segment? Let me know in the comments below. Let us have a discussion. And as I always say, please subscribe, like, and engage. And most importantly, stay electric. Thank you for watching. Speak to you soon.